The story begins with a boy named Tuya. He was sitting in a strange place, suspended between the sky and the earth. He had no idea how he ended up here, or why he was here at all. Suddenly, he noticed an old man sitting before him. The man spoke. You will now be sent to a magical world. You will never return to your own world, but you may take one thing from your world and use it in the magical realm. Tuya reached into his pocket and pulled out his cell phone. I want to take this phone with me. The old man nodded. No problem. You won't be able to call anyone from your world, but this phone may still prove useful in the magical realm. You will be able to charge it using your magic, for you will gain immense magical power, and you may call me anytime. I too can contact you through this phone. Suddenly, Tuya opened his eyes. He stood up and found himself in a strange new land. While he was trying to explore, his phone rang. The old man was calling him. I have set up the phone for you, the old man said. I placed a map of this magical world inside. Use it to find your way to the places you seek. Excited, Tuya began walking. Using his phone as a guide, he set out to find the first city, but he quickly realized he had no money. As he wandered, a horse-drawn carriage passed by. Suddenly it stopped, and a short man stepped down. He looked at Tuya and said, "The clothes you're wearing, where did you get them? I want to buy them from you." The man took Tuya along until they reached a nearby city. He led him into his clothing shop, took Tuya's clothes, and paid him in gold coins. Now dressed in new clothes and holding money for the first time, Tuya asked the man about the nearest inn. The man told him of a place called the Silver Moon Inn. Following the directions on his phone, Tuya set off toward the inn. But on the way, he stumbled upon two thugs in a side street. They had taken a glass figurine from two young girls and were threatening them, refusing to give it back. Tuya stepped forward. What is going on here? None of your business. Get lost, the thugs barked. Turning to the two girls, Tuya asked calmly, "Would you sell me that figurine for a gold coin?" One of them agreed, though the other looked stunned. Tuya then picked up a stone from the ground and hurled it at the figurine, shattering it. The thugs shouted, "What have you done?" Tuya replied firmly, "The figurine is mine now. I can do whatever I want with it." One of the thugs lunged at him with a knife. Tuya stepped back lightly and struck him, knocking him down. Then he defeated the second thug as well. He handed the gold coin to the two girls. One of them thanked him, saying, "My name is Elsa, and this is my sister Linsa." They asked his name. When they learned he was Tuya and that he was searching for the Silver Moon Inn, they offered to take him there, since they were also staying at the same inn. That night, they sat together in the inn. Elsie looked at him and said, "You're really strong. Why don't you come with us to the Adventurers Guild? You could hunt monsters with us and earn money." Tuya agreed, then went upstairs to his room to rest. The next morning, the three of them went to the guild. They checked the notice board and found a mission for hunting monsters. Tuya bought a sword, and they each took out their guild cards. Together, they left to slay the monsters, packs of wolves roaming nearby. Elsa fought using powerful gauntlets. Lince unleashed fire magic to burn the beasts. Tuya joined them with his sword, and together they defeated the pack. They collected the wolves' horns as proof and presented them to the guild staff, earning their first reward together. Later, they celebrated their teamwork at the inn. Tuya then asked them to teach him magic. Elsa warned, "You need the right qualifications to use magic. Without them, you could harm yourself." Tuya frowned. "What do you mean by qualifications?" Lindsay explained. "These qualifications are what allow someone to become a mage." "Then how can I know if I have them?" Tuya asked. Lindsay pulled out a small bag filled with colored stones. "These stones store magical energy. If you can use one, it means you have the qualifications." She picked up a blue stone. "This is water magic." She spoke an incantation, and a small stream of water flowed out. Elsie then held the stone. "I can't use this one. I don't have water affinity, but I do have qualifications for another type of magic." Lince added, "Most people can't use more than 3 or 4 types of magic. It's very rare to go beyond that." Tuya asked eagerly, "May I try?" They gave him the stone. As soon as he spoke the incantation correctly, a powerful torrent of water gushed forth. Everyone was stunned. "Can I try another?" Tuya asked. "Not here," they said. "We need to go outside." They stepped outside. Tuya tested the firestone. It burst into flames. The earth stone. It brought forth sand, wind, light, and darkness. All responded to him. Elze and Lince were astonished. "Who are you? How can you wield so many types of magic?" Tuya picked up a transparent stone. "What about this one?" Linz explained. "That stone has no fixed magic. You can imagine any spell and cast it. It can even open a teleportation gate, transporting you instantly to any place you have seen or thought of. Try it." Tuya spoke the incantation. The stone glowed and a gate appeared. He peeked through and found himself looking at the place he had visited earlier. The sisters told him, the teleportation gate can only open to places you've been to before, or strongly imagined. They returned to the inn. The inn staff asked, do you know a new recipe we could use here? Tuya smiled. Yes. I know one called ice cream. He pulled out his phone, gave them the ingredients, and helped them make it. The taste was incredible. Everyone was amazed. What is that strange tool in your hand? They asked. It's a magic tool I use, Tuya replied. Something no one else would understand. Later, while exploring the city, Tuya and the sisters learned they had to deliver an important letter to the royal capital. But before they could set out, they stumbled upon a commotion in the marketplace. A girl in Japanese-style clothing was surrounded by thugs. She tried to fight but was weak from hunger. One thug swung his sword at her. Tuya quickly used sand magic. The sand coiled around the thug, holding him in place. Tuya kicked him down. Elsa and Lindsay joined in, defeating the rest of the thugs. Then Tuya gathered all the girls and hurried them away from the scene. As they reached a side street, the girl thanked them for their help and said, my name is Yaya, and I come from a city called Ashen. Tuya was surprised. The name of that city resembled a Japanese city from his own world. Even her clothes looked the same as traditional Japanese clothing. Suddenly, the sound of her stomach growling echoed. They realized she was starving. They took her along, and she ate with astonishing hunger. She then told them she was heading to the royal capital. They suggested she travel together with them, since they too were on their way there. Yaya was overjoyed and agreed immediately. Their journey to the royal capital began. On the road, Tuya studied a book filled with magical spells he could attempt. One spell attracted objects toward him. He tried it on Yaya's sword, but nothing happened. LZ laughed. The sword is too heavy. Try something lighter. So Tuya cast the spell on Yaya's hair ribbon. This time it floated toward him. The girls scolded him. Don't you dare use this spell to steal people's belongings. Tuya raised his hands. I'd never do something like that. Yaya frowned. In that case, kindly return my ribbon. From then on, Tuya practiced many other spells. Among them was one that allowed him to sense distant smells. Suddenly, he lifted his head. I smell blood. They hurried to the source and found a group of lizard-like monsters, led by a mysterious man, attacking travelers inside a carriage. Battle erupted. Linz unleashed fire magic. Yaya swung her sword bravely, but she stumbled and fell. A monster lunged at her, ready to strike. Tuya quickly cast the spell, Slip. The beast lost its footing and collapsed. Yaya rose to her feet and slew it. They thought the fight was over, but more monsters appeared. Then more, and more again. Tuya's eyes narrowed. The mysterious man was summoning them. With another slip spell, he sent the man crashing to the ground. They tied him up at once. Soon royal guards arrived, thanking them for their aid. Then came a soft sound, crying from inside the carriage. They rushed to it and found a man with an arrow piercing his chest. A young girl wept beside him. The man held her hand weakly. My time is up. I will die. Please take care of yourself. But Tuya stepped forward. He gripped the broken arrow, then released magic from his hand. The fragments inside the man's body dissolved away. He followed with healing magic. The man gasped and sat upright, alive once more. The girl's face lit up with joy. She thanked them endlessly. The man introduced himself. My name is Ram. I am the head butler of Duke Alfred's household, and this girl is Sushi, the Duke's daughter. Tuya froze in shock. Elsa whispered to him, Duke Alfred is the king's own brother. That means Sushi is royalty. Reem bowed. We are heading to the royal capital. Please accompany us and guard us on the way. They agreed, since it matched their own destination. When they finally arrived at the capital and entered the Duke's mansion, Duke Alfred himself rushed forward. He embraced his daughter, relief flooding his face. Thank you, Tuya, he said solemnly. You saved her. Tuya shook his head. I only did what was right. Later, the Duke invited him to tea. I have many enemies, born of politics. They wish to harm me by striking at my daughter. At that moment, Sushi entered. Her father asked gently, Did you greet your mother? Yes, she nodded. I checked on her. Duke Alfred sighed heavily. My wife is gravely ill. She has lost her sight. We tried everything, even healing magic, but nothing has worked. Only someone with extraordinary power could save her. Sushi lowered her head. If only we could find someone who could heal her eyes. The sisters looked at each other. Then they pointed at Tuya. He can do it. Together they entered the Duchess's chamber. Tuya extended his hand, casting his healing magic over her eyes. Everyone waited in silence. Then, her eyes opened. Sight returned. Tears fell as she clung to her husband and daughter. Duke Alfred's joy overflowed. I must reward you. Ram brought forth a chest and a heavy pouch. He handed the pouch to Tuya. Inside are 40 platinum coins. The girls gasped. Tuya blinked. Platinum coins? Elsie explained. 1 platinum coin is worth 100 gold coins. It is the highest form of currency, Tuya quickly realized. He was now incredibly rich. Then Duke Alfred opened the chest. These are my personal medals. Keep them. With these, you may enter any place in the royal capital without being stopped. After delivering their letter and completing their mission, the group gathered to decide their next steps. Tuya turned to Yaya. What about you? What will you do now? Yaya smiled warmly. I've decided to join your team and stay with you always. The others cheered. Their party had grown stronger and their bonds deeper. After that, they wandered through the royal capital. Tuya saw a group of demi-humans, half human and half animal. Then he noticed a girl standing there, looking deeply troubled. When he approached and asked her, she trembled in fear. He gently calmed her and asked, "What's wrong?" Through tears, she answered, "I got separated from my sister. I don't know where she is." Tuya pulled out his phone to locate her sister. Indeed, they guided the girl until she was reunited with her sibling. The elder sister hugged her tightly, overjoyed, and thanked them for their help. After saying their farewells, they moved on. They stopped at several shops and Tuya bought new clothes. The girls looked at him and said, "These clothes suit you perfectly." Tuya blushed and smiled shyly. Then they returned once more to their city. The girls went out to buy sweets while Tuya stayed at the inn. When they returned, they told him, "Please deliver these sweets to Duke Alfred." Tuya used the teleportation gate magic and brought the sweets to them. Sushi was delighted. Later, Tuya created a Japanese chess set and gifted it to Duke Alfred, teaching him the rules. The Duke was fascinated, and he played with Tuya through the night. When Tuya returned to his city, he was completely exhausted. The next morning, they once again traveled back to the royal capital through the teleportation gate and headed to the Adventurers Guild there. They selected a mission to hunt a monster for reward money and went to face it. The battle began. They fought with all their strength. Tuya called out to Linz, "Use ice magic. Freeze the monster." Linz cast her spell, freezing it solid. Tuya followed with a powerful strike, shattering the frozen beast completely. Afterward, they sat together and thought about searching for treasure in the nearby ruins. Tuya tried a magic detection spell, but found nothing. Elsa suggested, "Try a stronger spell. Search for something valuable." Tuya released greater magic. Light spread across the area. He discovered something hidden deep below. It was beneath heavy ruins. Linz focused her magic and unleashed a powerful blast, destroying the rubble. A massive door appeared. Tuya opened it. They descended long stairs into the depths. Linz created a glowing orb of light to guide them. At the end, they found a giant wall inscribed with magical runes. Tuya photographed the wall with his phone, then cast a spell upon it. The wall shone brightly, opening into a vast passage. They entered and soon reached the strange thing Tuya had sensed earlier. Brushing away the dirt, they uncovered a glass statue. Suddenly, Linz's magic orb weakened. The red orb inside the statue absorbed its light. The statue glowed, sprouted limbs, and transformed into a colossal glass monster. The ground began to collapse around them. Tuya quickly opened a teleportation gate and pulled everyone out, returning them safely. But in an instant, a magical light appeared. The glass monster reappeared before them. It lunged at Tuya, who dodged swiftly. The beast attacked again. Linz cast fire magic, but the monster absorbed the flames. Yaya struck it with her sword, but the blade had no effect, and she was thrown back. Elsie charged with her gauntlets, yet her punches did nothing. Tuya cast Slip to push it away. Then he shouted to Linza, "Make an ice boulder. Throw it now." At that moment, Elsa rushed in and smashed its limbs apart. They thought they had won, but the red orb inside the monster shone again. New limbs emerged. It lashed out, striking Elsa in the chest. She collapsed, weakened. Tuya ran to her side, using healing magic to restore her. She recovered, but the monster pressed forward. Yaya tried to hold it back. Then, an idea struck Tuya. He advanced, casting the attraction spell. The red orb was ripped out of the monster's body. He hurled it toward Elsa, who caught it mid-air and shattered it with her gauntlets. The glass monster began to crumble, melting away until it was destroyed. Afterward, they reported everything to Duke Alfred. The Duke declared, "I will send an official expedition to investigate this incident and uncover the truth about this monster." Tuya showed him the photographs of the magical texts he had captured. Alfred was shocked by the strange device in Tuya's hands. Later, they returned to the inn. Using drawing magic, Tuya transferred the images from his phone onto parchment. When he went again to the Duke's mansion, he found Alfred rushing out in his carriage. The Duke shouted, "Get in, quickly. Tuya asked. What happened? Alfred answered with a grim face. My brother the king has been poisoned. I am going to him now, and I want you to come with me. Along the way, Duke Alfred spoke to Tuya and said, My brother the king wishes to form diplomatic relations with the king of the monster kingdom. But there are people within the palace who oppose his plan. I am certain they are plotting to kill him, Tuya asked. And what exactly do you want me to do? Alfred replied, I want you to heal the king quickly before he dies, just as you healed my wife. Tuya agreed. When they arrived at the royal palace, they met a man named Barca, the king's aide. He said to Alfred, We have caught the criminal. It was the ambassador of the monster kingdom. She tried to assassinate the king. My opinion is to execute her at once. But Alfred answered, It is my brother, the king, who will decide that. Barca pressed, The king is in critical condition. He could die at any moment. Suspicion rose in both Alfred and Tuya. It troubled Tuya greatly, and he cast slip. Barca fell hard down the stairs. Meanwhile, in the king's chamber, the king was gravely weakened by poison. His daughter Yumina and her mother stayed at his side, deeply worried. Alfred entered with Tuya. He sat by the king's bed and used his healing magic. The king's court mage was astonished by Tuya's overwhelming power. The king recovered and rose from his bed. Joy spread through the room. Yumina rushed into her father's arms. The king turned to his brother. Who is this boy? Alfred replied, His name is Tuya. He is the one who healed my wife, and now he has healed you as well. The king thanked Tuya, while Yumina gazed at him shyly. It was clear she had fallen in love at first sight. The king said, It is impossible that the monster kingdom sent their ambassador to kill me. They would benefit as much as we from this alliance. Surely someone within the palace has orchestrated this, the commander of the army argued. But everyone saw you collapse after drinking the wine the ambassador presented as a gift. Tuya was confused. They went to see the ambassador, whose name was Origa. Tuya recognized her immediately. She was the same girl he had once helped, reuniting her with her little sister. Tuya asked, Did anyone enter the room where the king was poisoned? The commander replied, No. The room has not been touched. Then let's go there, said Tuya. In the room, Tuya used search magic to trace the poison. He looked toward the table with the food and said, I understand now. He asked that the king and everyone else be gathered in the chamber and demanded that Barca be present. When they assembled, Barca entered and froze in shock to see the king standing alive. He was visibly shaken. The king's mage asked, Why have you gathered us here? Tuya answered, I brought you here to reveal the truth of this crime and to unmask the true culprit. Everyone's eyes fixed on him with anticipation. Alfred even teased, Are you going to nap now, Tuya? Go on, tell us who it is. Tuya held up a fresh bottle of wine. No one has entered this room since the king was poisoned. This bottle I hold is new. I want the commander of the army to drink from it. The commander drank, and nothing happened. Tuya declared, As you see, the wine itself is not poisoned. Then he poured some into the king's own cup and said, Now we will try drinking from the king's cup. Barca smirked darkly, but Tuya turned sharply toward him. You will drink from this cup, Barca. Barca panicked. I refuse, Tuya pressed. We confirm the bottle is clean. What are you afraid of? The king himself asked, What is it you fear, Barca? Sweat poured down his face. The commander seized him and forced him to drink. The moment he swallowed, Barca grabbed his throat, screaming, I've been poisoned! Save me! Tuya said coldly, Why are you so sure you've been poisoned when I never said the cup contained poison? Relax. Even this cup holds no poison. He turned to the king. The poison was never in the bottle. It was hidden in the king's own cup. Barca planted it there. That way, no matter how clean the wine was, once poured into the cup, it would kill the king instantly. And so, the mystery is solved. Yumina's eyes shone with admiration. You're clever as well, Tuya. But Barca shouted, I'll escape. You won't catch me. He tried to run, but as always, Tuya cast slip. Barca fell flat and was captured. Yumina's admiration for Tuya grew even deeper. Later, he sat with the king, who thanked him greatly. Yumina continued to watch him with shining eyes. Suddenly, Yumina stood up. I have decided. I love Tuya. He is the one I will marry. Tuya was stunned. Yumina turned to her father and said, Please allow me to marry him. The king answered, If this will make you happy, then I consent. Alfred smiled. This is cause for celebration. Her mother added, Then we will celebrate tonight. But Tuya blurted out, Wait, what are you all saying? This can't happen. You don't even know me. The king replied, If Yumina believes you are a good man, then surely you are. The queen said, My daughter has magical eyes. She can distinguish the pure of heart from the wicked. Tuya was shocked. Then he said, I am only 16 years old. I will not marry until I am 18. The king nodded. Then you have 2 years to learn about each other. After that, you may decide your future. Tuya had no choice but to agree. The next day, Tuya returned to the inn. The girls still could not believe he was going to be married. At that moment, Yumina stood up and said, I have decided to live with you all during this time. I will join your party so that I can always stay by Tuya's side. After that, they all went into the forest. Yumina cast a spell called Summoning Magic. She summoned a pack of wolves and ordered them, go and bring the wild gorillas. The wolves ran off and soon returned, chased by huge gorillas. Lindsay cast fire magic, burning several of them, while Elsa fought with her powerful gauntlets. Then Linza and Yumina combined their powers, fire and lightning together, striking down the gorillas and killing them all. It was clear that they had become a very strong team, and they were overjoyed. But Tuya looked troubled. Smiling, Elsa asked, What's wrong, Tuya? He sighed. Now I'm traveling with 4 cute girls. Everyone will keep staring at me. The girls stopped and burst into laughter when they heard him call them cute. Later, Yumina went with Tuya to teach him summoning magic. He cast the spell, and to their shock, he summoned a massive white tiger of immense power. Yumina gasped, Unbelievable! You managed to summon the White Emperor. Tuya asked, Who is the White Emperor? She explained, It is one of the mightiest beasts ever summoned by great sorcerers. The white tiger's voice thundered, What kind of magic power do you possess to dare summon me? Tuya placed his hand on the beast's head. A tremendous wave of magic surged forth, and the tiger felt its overwhelming force. In awe, it bowed. It seems you are the greatest sorcerer in this world. It is my honor to serve you. Tuya frowned. But I can't travel with you in such a huge form. Suddenly, the White Emperor transformed into a tiny, adorable kitten. Later, they set out on a mission to fight a group of monsters. The girls looked nervous and uneasy. Tuya told them, What are you afraid of? Don't worry, the castle we're heading to isn't scary. Relax. We have the White Emperor with us. The tiger muttered sarcastically, Even I think you're in for dark days with these girls. When they reached the eerie castle and stepped inside, Tuya tried to calm them. There's nothing frightening here. But suddenly, a huge stone fell on his head and transformed into a slime monster. More green slimes appeared, oozing everywhere. The White Emperor returned to his true form, roaring fiercely, smashing slimes into the walls. But more appeared, forcing them to run up the stairs. The green slimes did not follow them, but strange white slimes screamed from behind. The tiger seized Tuya and leapt upward. The girls fell among the green slimes, their clothes soaked through, forcing them to change. They continued exploring the castle, searching for more creatures. They entered a chamber that looked like a laboratory. Inside was a skeleton, the remains of a scholar who had experimented on monsters to create terrifying creatures, but had perished, leaving the castle abandoned. Suddenly, slime creatures began to form before their eyes. They fled quickly, setting fire to the castle as they escaped. After returning to their city, Tuya sat with Yaya in a restaurant. She told him about her homeland, and about her father and brother, warriors who had trained her in the sword. She stroked the White Emperor happily in her arms. You know, Tuya, my brother looks a lot like you. That's why I like him so much. Her words faltered, and she suddenly squeezed the tiger too tightly, nearly choking him. It was obvious she had begun to fall for Tuya as well. The tiger groaned, Didn't I tell you? You're headed for dark days. When Tuya returned to his room, Linz entered, holding a parchment. I found this magical manuscript in the castle before we burned it. The writing is in a strange language I can't read. Tuya crafted magical glasses from a cup and some iron coins. With them, Linz was able to decipher the text. She wrote down a new spell to create water bombs. I want your help to practice it, she said. Together they went into the forest. Linz tried several times but failed. Tuya held her hands, and she blushed deeply. He transferred part of his magic power into her. At last she succeeded. She created a water bomb that exploded against a tree, blasting it apart. Overjoyed, she exclaimed, Thank you for teaching me. Tuya smiled. You worked hard yourself to learn it. Her face reddened further. It was clear she too had begun to love him. As for Elsa, her powerful gauntlets broke during a battle with a giant bat monster. She was heartbroken over her weapon. Tuya said gently, I'll take you to the royal capital and buy you new gauntlets. He did just that. While walking together, Elsa spotted a beautiful dress in a shop window. Tuya said, That dress would look wonderful on you. Come, I'll buy it. Blushing, Elsa shook her head. I don't look good in such dresses. But she tried it on, and Tuya told her warmly, It looks truly beautiful on you. Her face flushed crimson. She clearly had started to fall for him too, because of his kindness. When Elsa showed the dress to the others, they admired it greatly. They teased, "Tuya is so kind. He should buy dresses for us too." Tuya panicked and clutched the White Emperor tightly. The tiger muttered again, "Here it begins, my friend. You travel with 4 girls. Dark days await you." At that moment, a message arrived from the royal palace for Yumina. When she opened and read it, she turned to Tuya and said, "We have been summoned to the royal palace. The king needs us for something important." When they arrived at the royal capital, Tuya discovered that the king had granted him a massive mansion to live in. "This mansion is far too big for only 5 people to live in," Tuya said. The girls turned to him in shock. "Are you saying we will live here with you? Didn't the king give you this place as a gift for you and Yumina once you are married?" Tuya replied, "Marriage is still far too early. I think of all of you as my family." Yumina looked upset at his words, but suddenly smiled. "I am happy, because you are so kind. That is why I admired you and came to love you." She left them after saying this. Later, Tuya sat in the garden with the White Emperor. The beast asked, "Will you truly allow the girls to live here with you in this mansion?" "Of course I will," Tuya answered. "I am certain now. I am in for extravagant days." At that moment, the girls approached him. "Will you really let us live here with you and never drive us away?" Tuya smiled. "Of course," Yumina said. "Then we shall all live here together and carry out the plan we 4 agreed upon." Tuya tilted his head. "What plan?" They answered together. "None of your concern. Mind your own business." It was revealed that the girls had spoken among themselves earlier. Yumina had told them, "I know very well that you all love Tuya." The girls blushed, and Elsa stammered, "What nonsense are you saying?" "I don't love Tuya." Yumina smiled knowingly. "Which means you do like him, and love him as well. It's obvious. I am not upset by this. I have a suggestion. Let us all marry him together." The girls gasped. Elsa shouted, "Are you insane, Yumina?" But Yumina spoke seriously. "I know any girl who spends time with Tuya will fall for him. He is simply too kind. I don't want to be selfish. I want him to choose. I agree that we all marry, but not now. Let us postpone this for the future." Afterward, Tuya met the servants the king had sent to serve in the mansion, including the head butler. Reem said, "The king assigned these 2 maids to serve you here in your home." Tuya thanked them and they began their work. Then Duke Alfred came and sat with Tuya. "I have a request," Alfred said. "You know we wish to form diplomatic ties with the Monster Kingdom. But for this, I and the king must travel there. The road is long, filled with bandits who would try to kill the king. The only safe way is through the teleportation gate you can create," Yumina added. "That means Tuya must travel to the Monster Kingdom so that he can open the gate for them." Alfred nodded. "Yes, that is what I ask." Tuya agreed, and they began preparations for the journey. They traveled with soldiers from both the Monster Kingdom and the royal capital. As they camped at night, one of the Beast Kingdom guards sensed something strange. Tuya pulled out his phone, traced the signals, and found bandits gathering around them. He cast his magic through the phone, striking the bandits where they hid, paralyzing them completely. At that moment, the Monster Kingdom's ambassador, Origa, approached the commander of the capital's guards. The commander blushed and fumbled nervously. Tuya realized the man was clearly in love with Origa. Suddenly, the girls appeared behind him. Yaya asked slyly to Elsa, "Do you think Origa realizes the commander loves her, or is she as clueless as someone we know?" Elsa smirked. "Obviously the one we know is clueless. He doesn't notice us at all." Tuya blinked. "Who are you talking about?" Linz muttered. "It's obvious he really is clueless." "I don't understand anything," Tuya said. They all shouted together, "And you'll never understand, you idiot." Tuya was left baffled by their sudden shift in mood. The next morning, they entered the nearest city to rest. As Tuya walked with the girls, he felt eyes watching him. The White Emperor spoke into his mind. "You are indeed being watched." "I sensed it since the forest." Later, Origa said, "I doubt we can reach the next city called El City. We should rest in the forest tonight." They sat down, but suddenly animals ran from the trees in panic. Looking up, they saw a massive dragon soaring in the sky. They ran toward the city's border, only to see the dragon setting it ablaze, people fleeing in terror. They tried to save as many as they could. Tuya attacked with magic, but it had no effect. The dragon hurled a fireball that struck the White Emperor. Tuya carried him and Linz away to safety. The city fell in flames. They regrouped in an empty clearing. Tuya said to Linza, "I'll strike him. You cut his wing with your magic." He unleashed a powerful spell at the dragon, forcing it down. Linz cast a sharp water spell, slicing one of its wings. Yaya arrived, striking with her sword, but the dragon barely flinched. Elsie slammed it with her gauntlets, but again, it felt nothing. The dragon roared, unleashing fire that scorched the land. Suddenly, a dagger flew from nowhere, stabbing into the dragon's eye. It crashed to the ground. Tuya told Linz, "Create a giant wall of glass." She obeyed. Tuya then enchanted it into a massive lens. The lens focused the sunlight into a blazing beam, burning the dragon until it collapsed, dead. At that moment, Tuya turned and found the girls lying on the ground, calling to him weakly, "We want to ask you something. Haven't you figured out yet who the idiot is? The one who doesn't notice us?" The White Emperor muttered sarcastically, "Stop this madness. I'm on the verge of suicide because of you." Then he shrank back into a small cat. After the battle, they poured all their strength and magic into rebuilding the city and aiding the wounded. They were left utterly exhausted. The following day, they prepared to continue their journey to the Beast Kingdom. Upon arrival, they met the King of the Beasts. The king was greatly surprised that someone like Tuya was able to defeat a dragon single-handedly. The King of the Beasts declared, "I want to have a duel with you, so we can see who the stronger one is." Tuya was taken aback. The king began to prepare and warm up for the fight. At this point, the king's attendant spoke to Tuya. "We know you are an exceptionally strong individual, but please do not forget that this is also the King of the Beasts. This is not a real duel. I have a request. I want you to strike the king without holding back and defeat him so that he will cease embarrassing us by challenging every strong person he meets." Both men readied themselves. As soon as the referee gave the signal, Tuya cast the slip spell, sending the king tumbling to the ground. Tuya then placed his wooden sword against the king's neck, declaring, "You are defeated. The duel is over." He then stepped away. The King of the Beasts protested, "Wait, what was that you did? Do not use that spell again. Come on. Let us have a powerful duel." Tuya gave in to his wish and agreed. When the referee gave the signal a second time, both lunged at each other and began to spar. Tuya powerfully reinforced himself with magic and attacked the king, but the king suddenly vanished right in front of him. Tuya was astonished, then quickly dodged a strike from the king's sword. The king said, "Well done for avoiding my strike." The girls watched, amazed by the magic the king had used. The king explained to Tuya, "The magic I used is called Axel, quick movement magic. With it, I can move from one place to another at tremendous speed." Tuya responded, "Then allow me to use it as well." Indeed, Tuya used the very same magic. He vanished and reappeared behind the king. The two of them began using the spell and fighting with such speed and power that no one could see them anymore. Suddenly, they both reappeared, and Tuya was pointing his sword towards the king, saying, "You have lost." The King of the Beasts surrendered, and the referee announced Tuya's victory. Everyone cheered joyfully. The king remarked, "It appears you are a truly formidable person. I was honored to duel you." In the evening, the king held a celebration banquet in the palace in their honor. However, Tuya was utterly exhausted, so he briefly separated from the group to rest. Suddenly, he saw a toy teddy bear moving in front of him, gesturing and saying, "Come with me." Tuya followed it until he entered a room in the palace, where he found a girl of peculiar appearance with wings, sitting in a dark chamber. She asked him, "Who are you?" He replied, "My name is Tuya. What is yours?" She said, "I am Lian, one of the magic fairies, and do not assume I am young because of my appearance. My real age exceeds 600 years. She then cast a spell on a chair, saying, "Move when I sit on you." When she sat down, the chair moved towards Tuya. Lian explained, "This is called conditional magic. You command the spell to activate when a specific condition is met. It is very useful magic if you learn it." Tuya asked, "May I try it?" Lian was surprised, but Tuya cast a spell on the chair and commanded, "Move 2 meters backward if I sit on you." When he sat down, the chair moved exactly as he commanded. Lian was astonished by his ability to execute such powerful magic without prior learning. She looked at him with admiration and declared, "It seems I will never leave you. I will stay with you always." Tuya immediately replied, "Please, that absolutely won't do. I already have 4 girls with me, and I do not need a 5th. He then left her and ran away. The following morning, Tuya, Yumina, and Linza went to the forest. Linza cast the water blade spell on a sharp fang from the dragon they had fought earlier, cutting it off. Tuya took the pieces, melted them with magic, and fashioned a powerful magic gun out of them. He created its bullets from lead and iron, and applied the conditional magic he learned from the fairy Lean, so that the gun would quickly refill with ammunition, simply by Tuya's command. He also made the gun capable of transforming into a dagger, and then into a longsword which he could use at any time. The girls were amazed by his creation. Afterward, Tuya opened a gate, time portal, in the King of the Beast's palace, and the king of their home kingdom appeared, greeted the Beast King, and they shook hands. Tuya then closed the gate and walked off with Yumina and Linsa through the kingdom. Feeling hungry, they decided to go to a restaurant. As they walked, Tuya sensed that someone was watching him. The white tiger told him telepathically so no one could hear. Indeed, someone has been watching us since we left the palace, and described the spot from which they were being observed. Tuya saw two mysterious people standing atop a tall tower, monitoring them. He told the girls, "Go ahead to the restaurant, I will catch up with you." He then used the Axel spell and appeared behind the two figures, finding them wearing masks that concealed their faces. The moment they sensed him, they quickly fled, and one of them unleashed a powerful magical light to blind him. However, Tuya took out his phone, pinpointed their locations, and then transferred again, reappearing in a side alley ahead of them. He used the magic gun and fired, saying, "Don't worry, these are rubber bullets. They won't hurt anyone." He then restrained both of them, removed their masks, and was surprised by what he saw. He asked, "Why are you observing us?" One of them replied, "We are originally guards of the king, and we were sent to monitor and protect you on your journey, because he is very worried about his daughter Yumina. He asked us to stay close to her always to protect her without her knowledge, because if she finds out, she will be angry with him, and he does not want to upset her." Tuya asked, "Then the dagger that struck the dragon in the eye and saved me, was one of you who threw it?" The other maid replied, "Please do not be angry with us, Tuya. This is the mission the king assigned us, and we ask you not to tell Yumina about it so she does not get angry with us either." Tuya agreed to their request. Afterward, Tuya returned to the girls to eat with them, all the while keeping an eye on the two disguised maids who were monitoring him. Once their mission in the Beast Kingdom was complete, Tuya returned to his own castle via gate. The two maids approached him and said, "Thank you for not exposing our identities. We will actually be very happy to serve you." Tuya replied, "Thank you for everything you do for me." Following this, Tuya used his magic to create a bicycle. Duke Alfred tried it, but immediately fell to the ground. He was determined to learn to ride it no matter what. When the girls saw Duke Alfred riding the bicycle, they asked Tuya to make bicycles for them too. He did so, and they began riding them with Tuya's help. Yumina successfully rode her bicycle and went up to Tuya, who cheered her on. The other girls saw this and wanted to ride their bicycles in front of him to capture his attention. Suddenly, they started a race amongst themselves to attract Tuya's gaze. They were surprised, however, when Duke Alfred pedaled past them, saying, "I beat you like little children." Tuya was bewildered by this ridiculous situation and left them to stroll around the city by himself. Suddenly, he found two thugs kidnapping a young boy in a side street and threatening him. "If we see you stealing in our area again, we'll kill you." They brandished a dagger at him, but suddenly Tuya appeared and told them, "Stop what you're doing." They tried to attack, but Tuya took out his gun and shot them with rubber bullets. He then reassured the boy and was about to leave. However, the boy clutched his stomach from extreme hunger. Tuya asked him, "Are you hungry?" The boy replied, "I haven't eaten anything for 3 days. Tuya told him, "Come with me, I'll buy you some food." The boy rejoiced and ran with him, but as he ran his cap fell off, and Tuya discovered that the person in front of him was a girl, not a boy. Surprised, he asked, "Are you a girl?" She replied, "Yes, my name is Rina." They sat together, and Tuya asked her, "Where are your parents?" She said, "My father left a long time ago to fight a magical beast and hasn't returned since, and my mother passed away recently." Tuya asked her, "Would you like to come and work with me at my castle? You would receive a monthly salary, and you could eat and sleep there." She happily agreed. "I accept." Tuya took her to the castle and she put on a maid's uniform. Raim then asked her to prepare to start her duties. Afterward, Tuya took Yumina and her sister, Sushi, and went back to the Beast Kingdom for a visit. There, they met Ariga's younger sister, the girl they had previously rescued and reunited with her sister. The girl was delighted and welcomed Tuya, who introduced her to Yumina and Sushi. Suddenly, the girl saw her sister, Origa, walking with the commander of the royal guard. Both Yumina and Tuya knew that the commander was in love with Origa, but was unable to confess. They continued to observe the pair, watching the commander attempt to hold Origa's hand, but he seemed flustered and afraid. As Origa's sister ran to catch up with them, she collided with a man wearing a cloak who turned out to be the king of the Beast Kingdom himself, traveling in disguise. He also joined them to observe Origa and the commander. Tuya asked him, "What are you doing disguised like this?" The king of the beasts replied, "I enjoy disguising myself and walking around my kingdom to check on its affairs." At that moment, the commander was sitting with Origa, feeling awkward, when they suddenly heard a commotion in the marketplace. They found 3 thugs surrounding a poor vendor and ruining his goods. The commander ran toward them, shouting, "What are you doing? Bullying a defenseless man." The thugs drew their weapons and said, "We'll teach you to interfere in matters that don't concern you." The king of the beasts said to Tuya, "We must help him." Tuya responded, "If we step out now, he'll know we were watching him, but we have to act." When the thugs attacked the commander, Tuya and the king of the beasts intervened, wearing masks, and struck them all down until they were defeated. The commander asked them, "What are you two doing here?" The king of the beasts said, "Our cover is blown." He then used Axel and vanished. Tuya exclaimed, "You flee and leave me? You coward." The commander approached Tuya and placed his hand on his shoulder, saying, "Could you please explain what is going on?" Tuya shouted, "You are the cause of all this. Why don't you confess your love to her? It looks like you're just toying with her." The commander protested, "That's not true. I truly love her and want to marry her." At that moment, Tuya turned and found Origa standing behind him. She had heard everything. He told her, "Now you know. He loves you and wants to marry you." Origa blushed but told the commander, "And I accept to marry you." The commander was overjoyed. When Tuya returned to his castle with Yumina, the butler Ray met him and said, "A guest is waiting for you." Suddenly, the toy teddy bear belonging to the fairy Lean appeared. At that moment, Lean herself appeared, accompanied by the king's court magician. They sat with everyone, and Lean said, "I am interested in researching ancient ruins. I believe the monster you faced previously appeared when a fissure opened in the ground. I went with a group of soldiers to investigate that rift, and we found a great fire from which a glass-like serpent monster emerged." She then produced a drawing of the monster and continued, "Legends say that these monsters are demons that emerged from the depths of the earth, preparing to destroy the world, and no one knows why they disappeared. I enjoy researching these ancient matters and finding the origin of the tales. Therefore, be prepared, as I will be visiting you frequently to ask for your help." Tuya and the girls were embarrassed by the request and didn't know how to refuse. Leon then continued, addressing Tuya, "I know you are capable of using many magical abilities. There is a type of magic called mind reading. With it, you can read anyone's thoughts and find out the places they have visited. Then you can open a gate and travel there. I need you to read the thoughts of a specific person so we can go to their town and search for those monsters there." Tuya asked her, "Who is the person you want me to read the thoughts of?" The fairy Lean replied, "I want us to go to the city of Ishin." Tuya understood that she was referring to Yaya, as she is from Ishin. Yaya exclaimed, "Are you mad? Who is this person who will read my thoughts?" The fairy Lean reassured her, "Don't worry, he will only read the thoughts you intend to convey to him. I just need you to focus on your city so Tuya can open a gate and we can go there immediately." Tuya indeed took Yaya's hand and began to read her thoughts, visualizing the locations in her city. Tuya then created a gate and instantly transported them to the city of Ishin. Yaya was completely stunned to be back in her hometown after such a long absence. Tuya asked Lean, "Where is the location you wish to search for these monsters?" Leon replied, "I don't know the exact location, but perhaps one of the city dwellers knows the site and can guide us to it." One of the military leaders then informed Tuya, "The ruins of the monsters you are searching for are located at the bottom of the sea in an entirely submerged city. Perhaps you will find those monsters there." Afterward, Yaya bid farewell to her father and mother. Tuya then created a gate, and they arrived at the seashore where they would search for the monster's ruins. Tuya took out his smartphone and tried to pinpoint the location of the submerged city. Tuya then dove into the sea and swam until he actually reached the sunken city. However, he found himself suffocating and unable to breathe, so he quickly surfaced. The White Emperor, White Tiger, told him, "You can summon the Black Emperor, who is the Emperor of the Seas. If you can control him, he will grant you immense magical power, allowing you to breathe underwater." Tuya cast the summon spell a second time. A massive turtle appeared, surrounded by a huge serpent. The serpent spoke to the White Emperor. "I haven't seen you in a long time, White Emperor. And who is this young man standing with you?" The White Emperor replied, "This is my master, and his name is Tuya." The turtle remarked, "How can the White Emperor be a servant to a mere human? His magical power must be formidable." It then said to Tuya, "If you are truly strong, let us engage in a battle. If you survive until sunset, we will become your servants." Tuya agreed. He took out a bullet and cast the conditional magic he learned from the fairy lean onto it, combined with the slip spell. He spoke the incantation that would cause the slip magic to repeat automatically until he manually cancelled the spell. He then fired the bullet beneath the turtle. The spell kept activating. Tuya sat and watched, amused. After a while, the turtle and the serpent became severely dizzy and asked Tuya to stop the magic. They agreed to become his servants. Tuya told them, "Your size is far too big. It's not suitable for you to accompany me like this." They transformed into a very small size and flew into the air, landing next to Tuya. He was greatly pleased with them. Tuya then went down into the sea again, but this time he walked on the seabed as if on land, breathing normally. He reached the submerged city and entered it, walking through a long tunnel until he saw a strong light at the end. He entered a large hall centered around a stone circle. When he stood in the middle of the circle and touched the stone at its center, a magical light shone, and he saw a group of strange lights around him. Suddenly, a powerful spell activated, and he was teleported, kidnapped. He then found himself in a strange place surrounded by a massive floating garden, and he had no idea where he was. A strangely shaped girl appeared and approached him saying, "I am the automaton robot who controls this aerial garden we are currently in." Tuya was extremely surprised, but he walked with her until they reached a high point in the garden. The robot girl told him, "There is a doctor named Dr. Regina, the technology scientist." Tuya was astonished to hear the word technology in this magical world. The robot girl continued, "This doctor created me and built this aerial garden, and she instructed me that the first person to reach the garden via the magic circle would be its owner. You have arrived now, so the entire garden belongs to you, and I shall be your servant." Tuya felt exhausted from the sheer number of adventures he had gone through. Meanwhile, the girls, along with the fairy Lean, stood worriedly on the seashore. Suddenly, a gate opened beside them, and Tuya emerged, saying, "Sorry for the delay." He then took them, and they all entered the aerial garden, where they were all highly impressed by its beauty. Leon slyly asked, "Who is this girl, Tuya? Is she your new girlfriend?" Tuya stammered, "What girlfriend? You guys don't understand anything." The robot girl interjected, "I am Tuya's servant, and I know he loves me." Tuya exclaimed, "What are you saying? How could I love you?" The robot girl blushed and said, "Don't deny it. You must have fallen for me." This greatly angered the girls. Tuya nearly lost his mind and yelled, "Everyone, it's not right for me to love her. She is just an automaton robot." At this, the girls calmed down after learning the truth. Yumina suggested, "Let's walk around and see the garden." While strolling, Linsa remarked, "I feel like we're pressuring Tuya's feelings and confusing him." Yumina stopped and said, "Do you remember our previous agreement that the four of us might marry Tuya?" The girls blushed upon hearing this again, and Tuya was flustered. However, they all said, "We are still young. We shouldn't discuss such matters now." "It's still too early," Yumina agreed. "You're right. Let's postpone talking about this topic." Tuya sat with the fairy Lean and the robot girl and asked the latter, "Did Dr. Regina create other places besides this one?" She replied, "She created about 7 other locations besides this garden, making a total of approximately 8, such as the Laboratory Island, the Library Island, the Castle Island, and the Workshop Island. All of them are floating in the sky, and there is a robot like me on each island." Leon smiled and asked, "And do you know how to reach those other islands?" The robot girl said, "Communication between us is currently cut off, and we cannot connect." The girls arrived and sat down, their faces flushed with embarrassment from Yumina's previous comments. Tuya took out his phone to try and locate the islands, but nothing appeared. Lean commented, "That means the only way to find those islands is to accidentally stumble upon magic circles, just like the one Tuya found at the bottom of the sea." Suddenly, something unexpected happened. Lindsay abruptly stood up and said to Tuya, "I want to confess something to you. I love you very much." Tuya froze in astonishment, and the girls were completely shocked, unable to believe what they had just heard. At night, they all returned to Tuya's castle. The automaton robot girl donned the maid uniform, preparing to serve at the castle. Tuya went to his room to rest. Linsa followed him with her gaze, while Yumina pondered Linsa's bold confession of love to Tuya. Tuya was lying on his bed, contemplating Linsa's words, and he felt that he was indeed starting to have feelings for her. Just then, there was a knock on the door. When Tuya opened it, he found Yumina, who asked, "May I come in and talk to you for a moment?" She sat with him and asked, You have a crush on Lince and you love her, don't you? Tuya replied, honestly, I don't know my true feelings, and I can't determine whether I love her or not. Yumina insisted, don't lie to me. I saw the joy in your eyes when Lince confessed her love to you. Tuya conceded. Frankly, I was very happy when she confessed, and I truly feel that I'm beginning to like her. At this, Yumina looked aside and said, did you hear his confession, Lince? Lince suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Tuya turned to her and asked, how long have you been here? Yumina explained, I asked the fairy Lean to hide her so she could come and hear your confession for herself and believe that you truly love her. Lince started crying and said to Tuya, I don't want to force myself upon you. If you don't love me, I won't be upset. But Tuya told her, I really like you, Lince, and I love you. Yumina declared, then it's settled. You will marry the two of us, Tuya agreed. I accept, but not now. You are all still young, and we will postpone talking about this matter until later. In the morning, Elsa burst through Tuya's bedroom door while he was asleep and said, I need to talk to you for a bit. She led him to the garden, where Yaya was also waiting for him. They both asked him, is it true that you love Lince and will marry her and Yumina? Tuya responded, it's merely admiration. It hasn't reached the stage of love and marriage yet. Elsa told him, then listen carefully, Tuya. You will fight us now. If you win, we won't talk about anything else. But if we win, there is a request that you must fulfill for Yaya and me. Tuya was baffled and said, why are we fighting in the first place? Just tell me what you want and I'll do it. But they insisted on fighting. He surrendered to their demand and took out his gun, preparing himself. They attacked him, and he drew the sword from the gun. Yaya attacked him with her sword, but he blocked her strike. Then Elsie attacked him, but he quickly backed away and shot Yaya with a rubber bullet. Elsie returned to attack him again, but he grabbed her hands, threw her far away and pointed the gun at her, saying, you are defeated. Elsie revealed, Yaya and I want to confess that we love you too. Tuya was astonished and distracted, so Elsa attacked him and struck him, knocking him unconscious. When he awoke, they both told him, we also admire you and love you, Tuya, and you must marry us just like Yumina and Lince. This is the request you must fulfill, because you were defeated. Tuya sighed. Did you do all this just to ask me for this? Suddenly he heard Yumina's voice saying, if we hadn't done that, you wouldn't have realized our true feelings and carried out our wishes. Tuya accused her. So you are the leader of the gang who orchestrated this plan. Elsa pressed him. And now, will you agree or not? Tuya replied to them, I certainly like all of you, but please, let me think about it. Give me a chance to be alone. He went to the aerial garden. The automaton robot girl came to him and said, I feel what you are going through now. He asked her, how can you feel me when you are just an automaton robot? She replied, true and strong feelings are noticed by anyone, even if they are just a heartless machine. Tuya confessed, I don't know if I will be able to make them happy, and I don't know if I will make the right decision. At that moment, the robot girl pressed her hand. A small door opened, and she took out a computer flash drive connected to a wire and gave it to Tuya, saying, this flash drive contains a message from Dr. Regina to you. Tuya took it and plugged it into his smartphone. A magical light appeared, and a hologram of Dr. Regina materialized, saying, I know you want to know everything, Tuya. Tuya asked, how do you know my name? She replied, I know everything about you, because I came from the future. You leapt through time and came to this magical world in this era. I knew you would come, so I prepared this garden to be yours. Tuya asked, and why did you do all this? Regina explained, because you are the only one capable of saving the world from what will happen in the future due to the glass-like demon beast that will appear soon. Tuya then asked her, and what will happen to me and the 4 girls with me in the future? Regina stated, I am only a pre-recorded audio message, and my mission is to tell you specific things. You cannot ask me anything else. The magical light then disappeared, and Regina vanished. In the mysterious place, suspended between the sky and the earth, the old man was sitting, enjoying watching television while eating. Suddenly, a gate appeared, and Tuya emerged from it. The old man rejoiced and said, You came to visit me. Tell me, what have you been doing in the magical world you are in? Tuya told him everything that had happened and asked for his opinion on the matter of the girls. The old man advised, It's wonderful that you want to make them happy and seek their happiness. But have you thought about your own happiness? What brings you comfort? You must think about yourself and your happiness just as you think about others. Tuya returned once more and sat with the girls, telling them, You know that we are one team, and I consider you my family and value you greatly. However, I am not thinking about marriage right now. The girls were upset, saying, What do you mean you are not thinking about marriage? Tuya clarified, We are still young to talk about marriage and love. The day will come when we truly marry, but until that time, there are many important things in life. Life is not just love and marriage. We must think about the future, as I feel we have a great role in changing it. Once we build our future, then we can think about love and marriage. They were convinced by his words and admired his character. While Tuya was walking in the city and talking on his smartphone, he saw a young man talking to a vendor. The vendor refused to take the price of the sandwich because the currency the young man paid with was strange. Tuya approached and told the young man, I'll treat you to the sandwich. It's on me. The young man thanked him and introduced himself, saying, My name is Ende. He thanked him again and said, We will definitely meet again. Tuya returned with the 4 girls, continuing their battle against the monsters in the magical world. There they encountered 2 gigantic crystal beasts. Yaya attacked one of them with her sword, but the sword snapped, as the beasts' bodies were incredibly hard. Tuya told the girls to step back. He then opened a gate beneath the monsters, and they fell inside and vanished. The girls asked Tuya, Where did you send them? He pointed to the sky and said, They'll be arriving now. The gate had transported them to an extremely high location in the sky. They plummeted rapidly until they struck the ground with great force. Everyone used transfer magic to follow them. The monsters rose again to attack. Lince used water magic, launching water bombs that hit a section of the monster's body, revealing the core inside. Elsa rushed forward and smashed the core with her gauntlets, breaking it. The monster collapsed motionlessly on the ground. At that moment, Yumina unleashed lightning magic, forming arrows and hurling them at the other monster, hitting and destroying it. Everyone celebrated the successful completion of their mission. Afterward, Tuya and the girls returned to his castle, where the maid Rina greeted them and said, After defeating the 2 monsters, you have achieved the highest rank in the Adventurers Guild. Tuya replied, Yes, I reached the red rank, and showed her his corresponding red card. Tuya then sat down with the fairy Lean to discuss matters. They agreed that they must continue searching for the remaining islands created by Dr. Regina. Suddenly, a call came from the old man. When Tuya went to him, he said, Someone wants to meet you. It was a girl called the Love Fairy. She told him, You have started loving the girls who are with you, and the proof is that you bought them engagement rings and placed part of your magical power inside them for them to use. This means you truly love them, Tuya asked her. How did you know that? Were you watching us? She replied, I am the Love Fairy, and it is my duty to know and strengthen all feelings of love between people. Following this, Tuya took Yaya with him to her hometown, and they visited a weapon craftsman to forge a powerful sword for her to replace the broken one. While strolling through the city, Yaya felt extremely shy. She took hold of Tuya's arm and said, May I ask you for a favor? Tuya replied, Of course. She requested, Could you hold my hand while you walk beside me? Aren't we engaged? Tuya extended his hand and held hers. They walked together, and Yaya was overjoyed. Next, Tuya took Yumina to visit her father, the king. Yumina's mother was delighted about her engagement, while the king said, Come on, let's get married quickly. I want to see my grandchildren. Yumina quickly and shyly hit her father on the stomach, saying, What are you saying? You shouldn't talk like that. When Tuya and Yumina returned to the castle, Tuya asked her, If I marry you, will I become the king after your father? Yumina answered, If my parents don't have a son, then you will be the king. Afterward, Tuya went to the Silver Moon Inn and used his magic to build a large steam bath, hot spring, for people to bathe and relax in. The working girl at the inn and her father were delighted, as they would earn a lot of money thanks to him. People immediately began flocking to the bath. Suddenly, Lean entered and told Tuya, I found another location that might contain a magic circle leading to one of the islands. Tuya was astonished by her boldness because she had barged into the bath while they were bathing, and the men were extremely embarrassed. They all then traveled via the aerial garden to the location of the new magic circle, which was in the middle of the desert. The robot girl, Francesca, was with them. Leon said, Did you know, Tuya, that the crystal beasts appeared 5,000 years ago and were on the verge of destroying the world? They could reappear at any moment. That's why we must search for the islands created by Dr. Regina to obtain information about them. Suddenly, they saw on the screen in front of them a crystal beast shaped like a marine creature, flying at tremendous speed, attacking a group of people running in the desert. The monster intended to kill them. Tuya declared, "We must save them quickly." He opened a gate beneath Yaya, who was transported and appeared on the monster's back. She tried to strike it with her new sword, but the monster was unaffected. The monster flung her, and she fell from a great height, but Tuya opened another gate, and she landed safely on the ground. At that moment, Tuya heard a familiar voice. It was Enda, whom he had met earlier in the city. Enda told him, "The magical barrier separating the two worlds is beginning to collapse, which is why the crystal beasts are starting to appear." He then suddenly vanished and reappeared on the monster's back. He struck a light blow to its back, and it easily shattered. Enda grabbed the two cores from inside the monster and struck them against each other until they were destroyed. Tuya was amazed and asked him, "How were you able to defeat the monster so easily?" Ende replied, "I directed my magic towards the weakest point in its body." Tuya questioned him, "And how do you know everything about these monsters? Also, what did you mean by the magical barrier separating our world from the world of these monsters?" Ende explained, "The barrier is a network that protects us from the entry of these monsters, but it has begun to crumble in some places, and the monsters are starting to enter our world to search for their king." Tuya's surprise deepened, and he asked, "What does that mean?" Ende concluded, "I must go now. We will talk later." After that, 3 of the people Tuya rescued came up and thanked him for his help, saying, "We are adventurers," and the monster suddenly appeared and started chasing us. But Tuya looked at the rest of the girls with them and asked in surprise, "They don't look like adventurers. And what are those rings around their necks?" The female adventurer explained, "These rings are called slavery rings. They are placed on anyone to make them a slave to the one who puts them on. If they try to escape or remove the ring, it tightens around their neck and kills them. That's why we were trying to save them and find a way to free them from slavery." Tuya confidently told them, "I can remove these rings." They were greatly astonished, but Tuya used attraction magic and easily pulled the rings off all their necks. Then Yumina suggested, "I'll talk to my father, the king, to take you in to live in the Belfast kingdom, as it is our kingdom." Indeed, Tuya opened a gate and transported them to the Belfast kingdom. He then returned with the girls to the aerial garden. The fairy Lean asked, "Who was that person who defeated the crystal beast in the desert?" Tuya replied, "I don't know anything about him except that his name is Ende. I met him in the city before, and he gave me this strange coin." The robot Francesca said, "This coin is 5,000 years old." Lean commented, "This person is very suspicious. He has an ancient coin thousands of years old, and he was able to defeat the crystal beast with one blow. This means he was present when the crystal beasts invaded the world 5,000 years ago, before they disappeared and returned to appear now." Francesca added, "Dr. Regina created advanced weapons to fight those monsters, including a giant automaton robot that anyone can ride to fight with." Tuya grew excited and said, "We must search for the rest of the islands to find that robot." At that moment, they looked at the screen in front of them and realized they had reached the location of a new magic circle. They descended into the desert, and Lean used wind magic to clear the sands, revealing the ruins of an ancient city with a massive glass orb inside. Tuya approached and picked up the orb, but his arm was pulled inside it, and he was drawn towards the magic circle. He stood in the center and touched the stone at its core. Strange lights shot out, and powerful magic erupted. Suddenly, he appeared on another floating island with a large garden. A new robot girl appeared before him and said, "Welcome to the Workshop Island. My name is Rose, and since you have reached this island, it means it is now yours." She led him to a huge hall with a great chest, but the place was otherwise empty. Rose performed a spell on the ground, and a table appeared before her. She said, "In this place, you can create anything you imagine, provided you have the raw materials. Go ahead. Try to create something." Tuya took out his gun and brought a piece of metal from the monsters they had previously fought, and said, "Create another copy of this gun using this metal." The gun appeared, having been successfully replicated. Tuya was amazed by what happened and asked about the giant robot that Dr. Regina had built to fight the crystal beasts. Rose replied, "That robot is on another island called the Factory Island." Tuya asked her, "Can you build it here?" She said, "Impossible, because I don't have the blueprints for it. They are stored on another island called the Storage Island." Tuya concluded, "Then we must find the Factory Island or the Storage Island." Tuya then opened a gate and brought the rest of the girls to the island, and asked Francesca and Rose to merge the Garden Island with the Workshop Island. When they returned to the castle, the adventurers he rescued in the desert asked him to find jobs for the girls. Tuya established a large library where people could read books and be served drinks, and he employed the girls there. Then he and Yumina went to the Adventurers Guild to fight a new monster. They went to battle a huge sea crab monster. Yumina used her magic and drew sand out of the ground to immobilize it, then fired shots from her gun at it. At that moment, Tuya used transfer magic and jumped onto the monster's back. He then used gravity magic to increase its weight, causing the crab to collapse onto the ground, unable to move. They then returned to the guild. The employee there told him, "I heard you opened a new library collecting wonderful books. We would appreciate it if you could bring us a collection of books we love, but they are only available in a kingdom called the River Kingdom." Tuya agreed. Yumina told him, "These books are highly sought after and widely read." Tuya asked her, "How do you know this?" She replied, "Because the author of those books is my friend. Her name is Rain, and she is the daughter of the king of the River Kingdom, but she hasn't revealed her identity to the public." Tuya went to the River Kingdom and entered the public library there to buy the books. He asked the employee for the books and she quickly brought them to him. He also bought other books to place in his library. Then he was told, "There is a girl looking for a specific book, and you bought the last copy of it." The girl approached and said to him, "Please, give me that copy. I won't find it anywhere else." She was surprised by the large quantity of books he had bought. When she saw a collection of novels with him, she said, "If you give me this book, I will sign the rest of the novels for you with my name." Tuya asked her, "Why would you sign them for me with your name?" She replied, "Because I am the author of this novel series." Tuya was astonished and said, "Then you are Princess Rain, the king's daughter." She was flustered at being exposed but confirmed that she was indeed the author. However, she said fearfully, "Now that you know my identity, you'll imagine I'll introduce you to my brother, the prince, and maybe you'll kill my father, the king, to become king of the kingdom." Tuya gently tapped her on the head and said, "What nonsense are you talking about? It was simply Yumina, your friend, who introduced me to you." Rain exclaimed, "You know Yumina?" He told her, "She is my fiancé." Rain then stated, "So your goal wasn't to become king of the River Kingdom, but your goal is the Belfast Kingdom, ruled by Yumina's father." Tuya hit her on the head again and said, "Stop this ridiculous talk." He then took her to meet Yumina, gave her the book she wanted and said, "I've created another copy of it for you, and this one is yours." The following morning, Lince came to Tuya and said, "The author named Rain has released a new novel. Its story is about a person with terrifying power who tries to seize control of a kingdom, so he gets engaged to the king's daughter, the princess." She had even drawn a picture that resembled Tuya. Tuya responded furiously, "The next time I see that girl, I will crush her head." After a while, Tuya went to the Regis Kingdom to buy some books, but he found people running in terror and the city on fire. He cast a spell on himself and leaped over the houses to see what was happening, spotting a group of soldiers threatening the city guards with their swords. Tuya immediately intervened and fired his gun at the soldiers. He then transferred one of the guards to a safe place and swiftly headed to the royal palace. Upon entering, he found several dead guards lying on the floor and heard a princess screaming. He used his phone to search for her location and rushed to find a soldier about to kill the king's daughter, the princess. Tuya instantly intervened and shot the soldier, then treated the princess's wounds and helped her to stand up. The princess was shy, and he learned her name was Princess Lucy. One of her female guards entered, and when she learned that Tuya uses gates, temporal portals, she asked him to save the king, the prince, and her own brother, the prince. But Lucy pleaded with him to first save her father, the king, and her older brother, the crown prince. They indeed went to rescue them, but when they entered the king's chamber, they found him unconscious on the floor, and standing over him was the commander of the soldiers, who wanted to kill the king and seize power. Tuya asked him, "What are you doing?" The commander demanded, "And who might you be?" Tuya declared, "I am the one who will stop you. Why do you want to kill the king?" The commander gloated, "To seize power in this kingdom and declare war on all other kingdoms and occupy them, starting with the Belfast Kingdom." He then shot magic from his hands and summoned a colossal, terrifying-looking demon, saying, "I am the strongest mage in this world. I control this demon through the bracelet on my hand, and this bracelet absorbs all magical energy in the area." Tuya felt extreme exhaustion and weakness in his body. He tried to use attraction magic to snatch the bracelet, but a magical barrier prevented any energy from approaching it. Tuya shot at him with his gun, but the bullet was ineffective due to the barrier. The commander boasted, "As for the other bracelet, it blocks all attacks from reaching me and protects me." Tuya replied, "Thank you for telling me your exact capabilities." He then opened gates, making the king, the princess, and the guard disappear to a safe location. The commander was amazed by Tuya's power. Tuya told him, I have to leave now, but we will meet again. He fired a bullet loaded with slipping magic at the commander's feet, causing him to fall to the ground. Then he cast another spell, dropping a swarm of insects on him, and said in an arrogant voice, We shall meet again, villain. He let out an evil laugh, then whispered to himself near the gate, What nonsense am I doing? And stepped through the gate. Afterward, he met with the girls to discuss a solution. Elsa asked, Why do you always involve yourself in every problem? Yaya asked, Do you have an idea to face this commander? Tuya smiled an evil smile and said, I have a very wicked idea. They were surprised by the look of mischief in his eyes and knew he was planning something big. Tuya went to check on the king after treating him. Princess Lucy thanked him shyly, and it was clear she too was beginning to like him, joining the list of those who love him. Suddenly, Tuya was surprised to see Yumina watching from behind the door. Yumina entered and said to the princess, I am Princess Yumina, daughter of the king of the Belfast Kingdom. Lucy replied, And I am Princess Lucy, daughter of the king of the Regis Kingdom. Yumina stated, You must be happy that Tuya, my fiancé, is the one who rescued you. Lucy was surprised that Tuya was Yumina's fiancé. Tuya discreetly withdrew. Yumina then asked Lucy, Do you have a crush on Tuya and love him? The princess blushed and tried to deny it, but Yumina took her hands and said, Don't deny it. Any girl who deals with Tuya will fall in love with him. I want to talk to you about this so that you can join us. Lucy looked utterly astonished. During that time, Tuya went to the king of the Belfast Kingdom, and the king said, My wife is pregnant and will give birth soon. If the baby is a boy, he will be the crown prince and rule after me. Tuya congratulated him, and the king said, I wish you were the one who would be king after me. He replied, I am not thinking about ruling right now. Then he went to the workshop island and told Rose about the bracelets he saw the commander wearing. Rose said, Those bracelets are among Dr. Regina's inventions. They were stolen from the storage island because the robot girl there is very careless and loses a lot of things. When Tuya returned to his castle, he found the king of the Regis Kingdom and his daughter. The king asked Tuya, What will you do now? Tuya replied, I must defeat the commander of the soldiers and restore the kingdom to you. The king said, We would be grateful. Tuya stated confidently, Tomorrow morning, I will go, defeat him, and bring your kingdom back. The king and his daughter were amazed by his confidence. Lucy requested that Tuya save her brother, the prince. Tuya told her, Hold my hand and think of your brother so I can read your thoughts and recognize his appearance. Lucy did so, and Tuya read her thoughts, learned the prince's appearance, then searched on his phone and located him. When he showed the location to the king, he recognized it as the palace of one of the army commanders loyal to the rebellious commander. Tuya and the girls, along with the White Tiger and the Black Emperor, set off for the Regis Kingdom. They agreed on a plan, and the two emperors transformed into their original forms. Everyone prepared for battle. They fought a battle with the soldiers and were able to eliminate them. The commander of the soldiers summoned the colossal demon and attacked Tuya with his magic. Tuya tried to maneuver, then flew high, cast gravity magic on his sword to increase its weight, and struck the demon with it. The demon fell and died. The girls rejoiced at Tuya's strength. Tuya then used transfer magic and stood before the commander. The commander said, I told you before, it's impossible to defeat me as long as I wear these two bracelets. Tuya smiled. Don't worry, I have prepared a completely different plan for you. He took out a strong glass box. The commander asked, What is in this box? Tuya replied, Smelly slime monsters that no one can stand. I will make you sit in their company for a while. He then opened a gate beneath the commander's feet. The commander vanished and reappeared inside the box. As soon as he smelled the odor, he fainted. The demon dissipated, and Tuya captured the commander and removed the bracelets from him. He then returned to the king of the Regis Kingdom. The king and the people were reassured that the problem was over, and the criminal had been apprehended. The people rejoiced greatly. Following this, the king of the Regis Kingdom came to Tuya and said, I want you to accept my daughter, Princess Lucy, to be engaged to you and to be one of your wives. Tuya was about to refuse, but at that moment Yumina entered and declared, I agree to Princess Lucy becoming Tuya's fiancé. The rest of the girls also added, We agree because we know she loves Tuya very much. Tuya was stunned and thought to himself, What are you saying, you idiots? Princess Lucy then said, I agree as well. And just like that, Tuya gained a fifth fiancé. Everyone was very happy, while Tuya remained shocked, even as he watched the king celebrate the occasion. He then reminded them, Don't forget, I won't get married until 2 years from now. The king of the Regis Kingdom replied, No problem. This way, we have established diplomatic relations with the Belfast Kingdom. They shook hands in agreement. Tuya thought to himself, you all are establishing diplomatic relations, and I'm getting stuck with these girls. At that moment, the king of the Belfast Kingdom announced, we must proclaim Tuya's engagement to Princess Yumina and Princess Lucy, but he must also have social standing in our world. Therefore, we have decided to grant him land upon which to build his own kingdom. The king of the Regus Kingdom added, build a complete nation upon it, be its king, then expand it until it becomes a great kingdom. Tuya remained silent afterward, while the girls asked him, what name will you give your kingdom? He replied, I will name it the Kingdom of Brunhild. Elsa said, then you must build a palace in this kingdom and start expanding it until it becomes a large nation. At that moment, Princess Lucy appeared in new clothes. Tuya complimented her. These clothes suit you very well. The girls warmly welcomed her and told her that Tuya would build a palace in his kingdom. Lucy suggested, how about building a huge castle instead of just a palace? Everyone agreed to the suggestion. Tuya began contemplating various castle designs. Suddenly, the automaton girl, Rose, entered and said, leave the castle to me. I will build and furnish it for you using the workshop island. She took him to the island and led him into a massive factory, saying, the castle will be ready in 3 days, but the necessary raw materials for construction must be provided. Tuya asked, where will we get these raw materials? Lucy suggested, there is an abandoned castle in the Regus Kingdom. You can use its stones and materials to build your castle. Rose began working, and after a while, the castle was ready. It was an enormous, beautiful, and extremely luxurious castle. Everyone was delighted when they saw it, and they went inside together to explore it. At that moment, the fairy Lean appeared and sat next to Tuya, saying, so, I leave you for a little while, and I come back to find that you have become a king. Anyway, I will stay with you for the upcoming period until we find the rest of the Roots Islands. Afterward, Tuya created a permanent gate that anyone could use at any time. Rina tested it herself and transferred to Tuya's castle, informing him of a message she received from the king of the Belfast Kingdom, who wished to meet him. When Tuya went to him, the king introduced him to the king of the River Kingdom, who wanted to establish diplomatic relations with the kingdom of Brunhild and all the other kingdoms. The king of River Kingdom said, I wanted to marry my daughter to you. But Tuya remembered Princess Rain, the novel author. The king completed his thought, but Rain loves someone else and wants to marry him. Tuya felt relieved. The king of the Belfast Kingdom suggested, how about inviting all the kings to gather in your castle? And together we build friendly relations and a grand alliance between all the kingdoms and your new kingdom. Tuya agreed. He began equipping his castle with all means of entertainment. He brought games from his world, billiards, ping pong, and bowling. He also brought rocking chairs for relaxation and tables for the domino game. Then his maid entered and informed him that a guest had arrived and wanted to meet him. The guest was the girl he had previously helped in the city of Ishin, Yaya's city. She told him, I and a group of people from the city of Ishin have come to be at your service and live in your kingdom. Tuya agreed and consulted with their leader on how to develop the city. He started by building new roads, constructing a large lake, and then the residents began building houses and preparing the city. Tuya was happy with what was happening in his kingdom. Inside the castle, the girls were finishing its preparation. At that moment, Princess Lucy was sad. Yumina asked her, what's wrong, Lucy? Lucy said, I wish I could be useful to Tuya like you all. Always help him, and that he would give me an engagement ring like the one he gave you. The girls smiled, and Yumina told her, don't worry, Tuya is very kind and will definitely try to make you happy. Lucy approached Tuya and said, I brought you food because you haven't eaten since the morning. I made this food with my own hands. The food looked beautiful. When Tuya tasted it, he said, it tastes delicious. Lucy's face flushed with shyness. After a while, they finished preparing the castle completely and got ready to receive the kings and their wives. The kings indeed arrived and greatly enjoyed their visit to Tuya's castle. At the end of the day, Tuya set off fireworks, launched by the automaton maids, Francesca and Rose. Everyone was dazzled by them and enjoyed themselves immensely. Lucy approached Tuya and said, thank you for everything you do. You are truly the kindest and gentlest person I have ever known. Tuya smiled and gave her an engagement ring, just like the one he gave to the rest of the girls. Lucy looked at it happily. Tuya held her hands, and she was extremely joyful being next to him. The next day, Tuya and his companions continued their journey to search for the remaining islands. Indeed, they arrived at a mysterious place amidst a glacial mountain, where they found a new magic circle inside a massive cylinder. Tuya climbed atop the cylinder, then jumped inside, and there he found the magic circle. As usual, he stood in its center and grabbed the stone embedded in its core. The familiar magical lights shot out, and Tuya was transported to the Great Garden. There, he saw a strange building before him, and a robot girl emerged from behind it and said, "Welcome to Hospital Island. I am Flora, the girl in charge of this island, and you are now its owner." Flora walked with him inside the building, introducing him to the island's medical capabilities, which could treat any illness, in addition to the many medicines invented by Dr. Regina. After that, the third island was merged with the previous two islands. Tuya returned to his castle and attempted to master a new magic, flight magic. After several attempts, he succeeded in soaring high above his kingdom, enjoying the view from the sky. Tuya then decided to visit the families of the girls he was engaged to make the matter formal. He first headed to Yaya's parents, who were very happy, but her father told him, "You must fight me first so I can confirm your strength and that you are capable of protecting my daughter." Yaya intervened, saying, "I will not allow you to harm Tuya. If you want to fight, then fight me." Her parents were impressed by her courage and smiled proudly, while Tuya felt happy because of her stance. Next, he went to Elsa and Linza's family. Their uncle was astonished that Tuya had come to propose to his nieces and bowed before him in gratitude. But suddenly, a small child from the family came and said, "There are huge bears attacking us and killing people. If you are really strong as they say, fight and defeat them." Indeed, Tuya went and defeated the huge bears, then sat down to rest. Here, he heard a voice calling him, and he turned to find that it was Enda. Tuya told him, "Last time you left quickly, and I couldn't talk to you. Now I have some questions for you." Enda smiled and said, "Ask what you wish." Tuya asked, "What exactly are these crystal beasts, and when did they appear?" Enda answered, "There are things I can tell you, and other things you will learn later. These monsters are not from our world. They came from another dimension to search for their king's core." Tuya was confused and asked, "And why do they attack and kill humans?" Ende replied, "Because that core is located inside a human body. The sound of the human heartbeats blocks the sound of the core, so the monsters kill people to stop their hearts, allowing them to hear the core's sound and accurately locate it." Tuya was astonished and said, "So, when the monsters tried to destroy the world 5,000 years ago, their only goal was to find the core?" Endi confirmed, "Exactly. And I was able to eliminate a group of them 5,000 years ago." Tuya's surprise deepened. "So, he has been around since that time? Who is this man?" He then asked him, "Are you also looking for the king's core? Will you kill humans to find it?" Enda replied, "No, I would never do that. I only kill the monsters and protect humans from them." Enda stood up and said, "That is all I can tell you now. I must leave." Tuya called out to him, "Who exactly are you, Ende?" He answered, "Consider me a traveler through the ages." He then shook his hand and departed. In the workshop island, Tuya spoke with Rose, saying, "We need to manufacture giant automaton robots like the one on the factory island, so we can fight the crystal beasts if they attack our world." Rose replied, "We must reach the factory island or the storage island as soon as possible, as the blueprints are there." Tuya consulted his companions. The serpent, Black Emperor, told him, "You can summon the Flame Empress. She controls all the birds of the world, and she can send them to search for the lost islands." Tuya performed the summoning spell, and a huge firebird appeared, the Flame Empress, who greeted the Black Emperor and the White Tiger. She asked Tuya, "Are you the one who summoned me?" The White Tiger answered, "This is our master. His name is Tuya." She told him, "I agree to be your servant." Tuya was surprised. "That quickly?" She replied, "If the White Emperor and the Black Emperor are your servants, you are extremely powerful, and there is no need for me to test your strength. It is an honor for me to be your subordinate." She then transformed into a small bird and perched on his shoulder. Tuya asked her to send the birds to search for the islands. She let out a powerful shriek that reached all the birds in the world, and they set off to search. After a while, the Flame Empress returned and informed Tuya that the birds had discovered the location of a new island. They all headed there, and it was in the middle of a dense jungle. Suddenly, a massive unicorn appeared before them. Everyone prepared for battle, and the beast attacked them. Tuya was about to shoot, but Yumina preceded him and fired her bullet, hitting its eye. Then Lindsay used ice magic and brought it down to the ground. Lucy followed by slicing off its legs. Elsa hit it with her powerful gauntlet. And finally, Yaya struck it with her sword, severing its neck. The girls celebrated their victory, but Tuya thought to himself, they did everything without me. They continued to advance into the jungle. The girls managed to eliminate other monsters. Tuya threw his gun to the ground saying, "No, this is too much. I have to do something too. I can't leave everything to them." They then reached the location of the magic circle, which was shaped like a pyramid. Tuya touched the wall of the pyramid, and it opened, allowing him to enter. As usual, he stood in the center of the circle and grabbed the stone. The lights shot out, and he was transported to a new island. There, he found an industrial building before him, realizing he was on Factory Island. Suddenly, a giant iron machine attacked him, but it stopped and said, "No one has ever managed to dodge my strike before. This means you are very strong. I am Monica, the robot girl in charge of this island. And of course, the island is now yours." Tuya entered the factory with Monica until they reached the location of the giant automaton robot. Monica tried to open the door leading to it, but she couldn't reach the activation button because she was too short. She got angry, grabbed a massive machine and smashed the door with it, destroying it. It was clear that she had a very volatile temper. At that moment, the iron door sprang open, and the giant automaton robot appeared. Tuya was extremely excited and asked Monica, "Can I ride this robot?" Monica smiled and said, "Go ahead. You can ride it as much as you like, but it won't move." Tuya was confused and asked, "What do you mean it won't move?" She replied, "Because it doesn't have fuel." Tuya asked her, "And where do we get this fuel?" Monica said, "I believe no one can manufacture its fuel except the robot girl in charge of the research island." Tuya's surprise grew. "Then I must find the research island to be able to operate it," Monica suggested. "Perhaps Flora, the girl in charge of the hospital island, has a solution for this." They went to Flora, who said, "Manufacturing this robot's fuel is not impossible. We can do it, but we need a huge magical stone." Linz took out a small magical stone from her collection. Flora looked at it and said, "Yes, this is the required type, but we need a much larger size." Indeed, Tuya brought a giant stone, which Flora handed back to him, saying, "The fuel will be ready in 1 month." Tuya stood before the robot, his heart filled with excitement. Then Rose and Monica came and told him, "Come and experience sitting inside the robot." Tuya entered the cockpit and sat down. Monica told him, "The robot moves by thought and the energy of the person driving it. Everything you think of is directly executed by the robot." Rose added, "I have created virtual reality capsules for you on the workshop island. Through them, you can experience driving and training on the robot until Flora finishes making the fuel." She then manufactured several copies of the capsules, which Tuya took to his castle as a form of entertainment. The girls happily began trying them out. During this period, they prepared to manufacture a batch of giant automaton robots to assist them in their upcoming battle against the crystal beasts. While Tuya was pondering everything that was happening, Sushi suddenly attacked him and knocked him to the ground, shouting, "Please, Tuya, marry me too." Tuya was startled and said, "Marry you? You fool. You are still too young." At that moment, the butler, Rame, came and pulled Sushi away from him. Tuya asked him, "What exactly is going on, Rame?" Rame explained, "A prince from the Linnea kingdom has asked to marry Princess Sushi." Tuya was very surprised, as Sushi was still a little girl. He sat with them to hear the details. Rame continued, "The prince, named Zagan, sent a request to Duke Alfred to propose to his daughter, Princess Sushi." Sushi screamed, "It is impossible for me to marry that person." Rime said, "I also do not approve of this marriage. Prince Zagan has a bad reputation. He is a deceiver with girls, selfish, and cares only about himself." Sushi clung to Tuya's arm, pleading, "Please, Tuya, save me from this marriage." Tuya went to consult the girls, who all told him, "We all agree that you should marry Sushi when she grows up." Tuya sternly replied, "Let's put the subject of my marriage to Sushi aside for now and focus on how to prevent this marriage." Sushi suggested, "Perhaps my father, Duke Alfred, will formally refuse." But Rame said, "In that case, problems will arise between the Linnea kingdom and the Belfast kingdom, and they might declare war between the two kingdoms." Tuya sat with Duke Alfred, who told him, "I do not agree to my daughter marrying that scoundrel, but I want to avoid trouble. The Linnea kingdom might declare war on Belfast, and on your kingdom too, Tuya." Tuya asked, "And why doesn't the king of Linnea punish his corrupt son?" Alfred answered, "Because the prime minister, named Dak, is the one with power and influence. He is a mysterious person, and no one knows the secret of his strength. And there is another prince, a good man, the king's son from another wife. but she has been missing for a long time, and no one knows her whereabouts. At that moment, Rhyme entered and said, "My Lord Duke, an envoy from the Linnea Kingdom has just arrived." Alfred received the envoy and spoke with him, then said, "Regarding Prince Zagan's request to marry Princess Sushi, I do not agree." The envoy asked, "May I know the reason?" The Duke replied, "Because my daughter has chosen another person to marry, and that is Tuya, the king of the kingdom of Brunhild." The envoy was surprised and looked at Tuya, asking, "So, you are the king of Brunhild? And is it true that you can use gates?" Tuya affirmed, "Yes, I can." The envoy then said, "Then please, I have a request for you. Save my mother." Everyone was shocked by these words. Tuya asked him, "Explain the matter well to me." He said, "My name is Prince Cloud. I am Prince Zagan's half-brother, from a different mother. My mother is locked in a high tower, and the one who imprisoned her is the Prime Minister, Dak. Please save her." The surprise grew among them. Tuya asked him, "Why doesn't your father, the king, take action?" Cloud replied, "Because the Prime Minister is threatening the king with harming my mother, and my father fears for her. The plan they are preparing is that they want to marry Prince Zagan to a princess from another kingdom, then appoint him king instead of my father, to rule the entire Linnea Kingdom." Duke Alfred told Tuya, "I think we need an urgent meeting with the rest of the kings to decide what we should do." Indeed, they held the meeting, and everyone agreed on the necessity of rescuing the Linnea Kingdom from the control of Prime Minister Dak and freeing Prince Cloud's mother. They formulated a plan to execute this. Tuya, Yaya, Elsa, and Prince Cloud set off towards the Linnea Kingdom, though Tuya and Elsa disguised themselves so no one would recognize them. Prince Cloud entered his brother Prince Zagan's presence. Zagan asked in surprise, "You returned so quickly?" At that moment, Tuya and the girls saw a girl standing next to him with a slavery ring around her neck. Zagan approached his brother Cloud and asked, "What was their response to our offer? Didn't they surely agree?" But Prince Cloud answered sadly, "They refused, because Princess Sushi is going to marry someone else." Suddenly, Zagan dealt him a powerful slap across the face, and everyone was stunned by what happened. Zagun shouted at him, "You are an idiot and useless. You should have kidnapped the princess and brought her here so I could marry her by force, putting them in front of a fait accompli." Tuya remained aghast at the words he was hearing. Zagan then added, addressing Cloud, "Go back to the Belfast Kingdom and spread rumors that Tuya is a bad man and deceives girls. Then Princess Sushi will break off her engagement and agree to me." Cloud looked at his brother with a powerful angry glare. Zagan asked him, "Why are you looking at me like that?" He then violently kicked him in the stomach, knocking him to the ground, and started kicking him with his foot. At that moment, Zagun's mother entered, with strange expressions on her face, as if she was proud of what her son was doing, appearing like a depraved woman, encouraging her son to harm his brother. Afterward, they left the place. Tuya took Prince Cloud to a safe place and began treating him. He then opened a gate and brought the girl Zagun had enslaved. He cast attraction magic on her, snatching the ring from her neck. Her face brightened with joy, and she couldn't believe she was freed. The coup de grace and the queen's treason. As for Zagun, he began searching for her everywhere, but couldn't find her. He then ran into Prime Minister Dak, who asked him, "What happened?" Zagun said, "My personal slave ran away and I couldn't find her." Dak coldly replied, "Withdraw the slavery ring and kill her." Zagun did so, but the ring appeared in Tuya's hands. Tuya was shocked, imagining what would have happened if the ring had remained around the girl's neck. She would have been killed instantly. Afterward, they gathered again in the palace garden and all agreed to implement an urgent plan to rescue Cloud's mother from the tower she was imprisoned in, which was surrounded by a large number of guards. Tuya used his phone and his special magic, paralyzing all the guards on the ground. Cloud reached where his mother was imprisoned. As soon as she saw her son, she burst into tears, disbelieving her escape. Yaya was overjoyed, and they quickly took her and escaped to the palace of one of the king's loyal counselors. Meanwhile, Tuya began planning seriously and let out an evil laugh. The same look of mischief that the girls had previously seen appeared in his eyes, and they understood that he was plotting a new major event. On the other side, Dak and Zagun learned that Prince Cloud had managed to save his mother. Dak said, "We must quickly pressure the king to abdicate the throne to Prince Zagun, then we kill the rest." But Tuya was listening to them, disguised with invisibility magic. After they left, he filmed them with his phone to record their confessions. Zagun's mother asked Dak, "And what will happen when the king abdicates the throne?" Dak said, "We will kill the king and Prince Cloud, and our son Zagun will be the king." Tuya was stunned after discovering that Zagan was not the king's son but Dax, and that his mother had been cheating on the king from the beginning. Tuya began executing his plan. He opened a gate, went to the king, and informed him of everything that had happened, revealing his wife's betrayal and that Zagan was not his son. He also told him how they rescued Prince Cloud's mother, the new king, and the final justice. At the ceremony prepared to proclaim Prince Zagan as king, Tuya and his companions were hidden. The king stood up and said, "I have decided to abdicate the rule to my son to be the king after me." Zagan waited for the king to say his name, but the king suddenly announced, "I will abdicate the rule to my son, Prince Cloud." Stunned silence swept through the hall. Prince Cloud appeared, advancing toward his father, the king, and said, "I accept the rule and will be worthy of this responsibility." At that moment, Dak threatened the king, saying, "What are you doing? Don't you know what will happen if Zagan doesn't become the king?" Zagan's mother said, "My son must become the king." But the king smiled scornfully and told her, "Do you believe yourself? You betrayed me, and Zagun is not my son, but Dax." Tuya suddenly appeared with the white tiger after it had reverted to its true form. He turned on his phone and displayed a screen before everyone, showing the recorded confessions of Dak and Zagan's mother. The two were struck with astonishment and shock. Dak attempted to attack Tuya, but the white tiger stood in his way. The king announced decisively, "Dak, you are accused of high treason, and you have been arrested." Prince Cloud took over the rule, and the loyal counselors returned to support the kingdom. As for Zagun, his mother, and Dak, they were sold to slave traders to work in forced labor, humiliated. After that, King Cloud joined the alliance established between Tuya's kingdom and the rest of the other kingdoms. After a while, a celebration was held for the marriage of the guard commander to Ariga. Everyone was happy and joyful on the occasion. The next day, Tuya suggested a picnic to the girls. The girls were delighted. And indeed, they all went out for a stroll, visiting very beautiful cities, buying accessories, and then sitting in a restaurant for a meal. They returned at the end of the day joyful and happy. The following morning, Tuya learned that Flora had finished manufacturing the fuel for the giant automaton robot. They all stood before the robot, and Tuya asked Yaya to start driving and testing it. Yaya piloted it easily and smoothly, which greatly pleased Tuya. The rest of the girls then began trying it out as well. Afterward, Tuya returned to the workshop island and forged a very powerful sword made from the body of the crystal beast he had previously destroyed. Rose manufactured a set of swords, in addition to special bullets made from parts of the crystal beast. She then requested that he bring her a special metal to be utilized in their manufacturing. Tuya used flight magic and soared into the sky in search of the metal. However, he discovered a destroyed city located in the Night Kingdom. There, he saw a group of crystal beasts attacking the city. Tuya rushed to the location, finding a group of knights fighting the monsters. The leader of the knights was a princess from the Night Kingdom itself. The princess attempted to attack one of the crystal beasts with her sword, but it shattered against its toughness. The monster raised one of its limbs to kill the princess, who resigned herself to her fate. But at the crucial moment, Tuya intervened and struck the monster with the sword made from the bodies of the crystal beasts, breaking it and saving the princess. The princess asked him in astonishment, "Who exactly are you?" Tuya replied, "Get the people to safety now, and then we will talk." He then lunged at the rest of the crystal beasts and eliminated them with his sword. The princess thanked him, saying, "Thank you for helping us." Tuya then used healing magic on the injured, curing them all. He then introduced himself to the princess, who said, "I am Princess Hilda, Princess of the Night Kingdom." Tuya then asked her if he could take parts of the crystal beasts' bodies to make weapons from them. He then opened a gate and took out 3 swords made from those parts, presenting one as a gift to Princess Hilda, who was very happy and thanked him shyly. While Tuya was walking through the forest, he found a deer standing before him, looking at him strangely, then running away as if asking Tuya to follow it. Tuya followed it, finding a girl lying on the ground, unconscious and bleeding all over her body. Tuya tried to treat her but discovered she had very severe injuries. The girl tried to regain consciousness briefly but lost it again. Tuya quickly carried her and transferred her to the hospital island, where Flora told him, "I managed to treat the girl, but she has lost her memory and doesn't know who she is." Tuya took her to his room, trying to reassure her. The girl smiled at him and said, "Who are you?" Tuya introduced himself, then asked her name, and she replied, "I don't remember my name, but you can choose a name for me." Tuya decided to name her Sakura. Sakura thanked him with the first smile since they met. He then took her to his castle. Sakura sat in the garden, lost in thought, remembering nothing of her past, while the Flame Empress guarded her under Tuya's orders. When Tuya went out to the garden, he found Sakura singing with a very beautiful voice, and he was amazed by her wonderful voice. He took her to play the piano while she sang. As soon as they finished, they were surprised to find the girls behind them applauding warmly, which made Sakura very happy. The next day, the girl working in the library came to Tuya and told him, "A terrifying monster has appeared that can turn people into stone statues with just its eyes. We implore you to go, fight it, and eliminate it." Tuya agreed, took the girls with him, and set off with his aerial garden toward the monster's location. Tuya gave Yaya a sword made from the bodies of the crystal beasts. When they reached the forest where the monster was located, Tuya used his phone to pinpoint its location, and they indeed found it before them. He told them, "I have placed healing magic in your rings. If you start turning into stone statues, you can quickly heal yourselves." Tuya then advanced towards the monster. The monster looked at him with its powerful eyes, but Tuya bravely attacked it. The girls joined him, carrying weapons made from the crystal beasts' bodies. Lince used sand magic to blind the monster's eyes, while Yaya and Elsa flew and attacked it. Yaya cut off its tail with her sword, and Elsa hit its stomach with her gauntlet, causing the monster to release poisonous steam from its mouth. The steam fell on Lince. Tuya quickly ran and transferred her before the monster could fall on her. The monster then directed its magical gaze at Tuya, nearly turning him into stone, but Tuya quickly struck it and cut off its neck. However, Tuya's body began to petrify. He quickly used healing magic before completely turning into a stone statue. He then kicked the tree to break off the remaining stone and return to normal. He then returned to his castle and began healing those who had been turned into stone statues by that monster. Afterward, the kings came to visit Tuya at his castle and saw the virtual reality capsules for the giant automaton robots, enjoying them greatly. Meanwhile, in the Night Kingdom, Princess Hilda sat before the sword Tuya had gifted her, contemplating it and thinking of him. It was clear that she was starting to love him. Her grandfather came and told her, "I want to visit Tuya at his castle." At the same time, Tuya was on Factory Island, where Monica was working on repairing the giant robot. Suddenly, he heard the White Tiger's voice speaking to him via telepathy saying, "Your older sister has arrived at the castle and wants to see you." Tuya was extremely surprised. When Tuya returned to the castle, he found that the Love Fairy had appeared, transformed into a human form, and was telling the girls that she was Tuya's sister. When Tuya entered, he asked the girls to leave him alone with her. Tuya asked her, "What brought you here?" She replied, "I came to enjoy the power of love that gathers around you and these girls, and I want to see your love story up close." Tuya was greatly annoyed by her words. Suddenly the maid entered and informed him that guests had arrived from the Night Kingdom and wished to meet him. The Love Fairy commented, "The Night Kingdom, the one with Princess Hilda, who seems to be starting to love you too." Tuya went out to meet them, finding Princess Hilda watching the knights train in the castle. When she saw him, she was very happy and showed signs of shyness. Her grandfather arrived, introduced himself to Tuya, and thanked him for the swords he had gifted them. Tuya then took them to show them the giant automaton robot, saying, "I am manufacturing a batch of these robots to fight the crystal beasts with." The old man asked him, "And how many robots have you manufactured so far?" Tuya replied, "About 10. The old man asked him, "And what do you intend to do with this overwhelming power?" Tuya answered, "I intend to protect the magical world, eliminate the crystal beasts if they appear, and defend humans from them." "I understand your concern. I will never use these robots to threaten humans or occupy other cities." The old man smiled, saying, "That is the very statement I wanted to hear from you. It is an honor for me to join the alliance established between your kingdom and the rest of the other kingdoms." Afterward, Princess Hilda met Yaya and realized she was Tuya's fiancé. She became very sad and said, "I didn't know you were going to get married." Tuya replied, "It's only an engagement for now. The marriage will be later. I haven't even announced my engagement to Yumina or Princess Lucy." Yet Hilda was surprised and asked, "Are you engaged to 2 others besides Yaya?" Yaya replied, "You could say he is engaged to 6 girls, not just us." Hilda was shocked by what she heard. At that moment, the Love Fairy entered and asked her, "Do you love Tuya too?" Hilda tried to deny it, but the Love Fairy told her, "Love is clear in your eyes, don't try to deny it." Hilda was bewildered by her words. Tuya then told the Love Fairy, "Do you know what I will do to you?" She replied, "I know you are happy inside, and that you love Hilda." Yaya then said to Hilda, "I want to talk to you." Hilda replied, extremely shy, I'm sorry for what happened. There is nothing between me and Tuya, Yaya told her. I understand your feelings now because one day I too loved Tuya when he was engaged to another girl, and I couldn't express my feelings to him. But trust me, if you truly love Tuya, all the girls will welcome you and agree to your engagement to him. Hilda was very embarrassed by her words, while the love fairy looked happy like a child and said, I will introduce you to the rest of the girls. Indeed, Hilda sat with the rest of the girls. They welcomed her and agreed to her engagement to Tuya. The love fairy then asked her about her feelings when she first saw Tuya. Hilda replied, when he saved me from the crystal beasts, I felt his personality was strong, and he was very chivalrous. I loved him at first sight. The girls were delighted by her words. At that time, the fairy Lean was sitting with Sakura, watching the girls meeting from afar. Sakura asked, what are they doing? Lean replied, they are preparing the 7th girl, and it looks like you will be the 8th. Sakura remained perplexed. While Hilda was sitting with the girls and talking about Tuya, they noticed they didn't know much about him. The love fairy entered and said, I will tell you everything you want to know about Tuya since he was little. The white tiger was horrified and tried to contact Tuya via telepathy to warn him of the disaster, but he found that he was unable to do so. The love fairy had cut off the connection between him and Tuya. He surrendered and said to himself, I said before that he would see some dazzling days. The next day, the Flame Empress informed Tuya that the birds had discovered the location of new islands. Tuya did indeed go to the location of the magic circle and entered the new island, known as the Tower Island. There, the responsible robot met him and said, I am Leona, the robot in charge of this island, and I have another robot with me. She then took him to introduce him to the second robot, who turned out to be a very lazy girl named Noel, sound asleep and hard to wake up. Leona tried to wake her, but she told Tuya, if you have food, she will wake up instantly. She absolutely loves food. Indeed, Tuya opened a gate and brought food. Noel quickly woke up when she smelled it and started devouring it. She then told him, if you bring me food every day, consider this place yours. He brought her food again, and she was very happy. They then explained the function of the tower on the island, informing him that it attracts any magical energy and doubles its power. Noel then went back to sleep. Tuya took Leona to talk with her. She informed him, this place is responsible for defending the rest of the islands, and it can create a defensive shield to protect them from any external attacks. The rest of the girls came to see the new island Tuya had discovered. At that time, the white tiger arrived with a message from the king of the Belfast Kingdom, informing them that the king's wife had given birth to a child, and he would be the legitimate heir to the throne. The king was very happy and asked Tuya to choose a name for the child. Tuya suggested the name Yamato, and the king was delighted with this choice. In the evening, Tuya held a grand celebration at his castle for the birth of Prince Yamato, the son of the king of the Belfast Kingdom. Yumina went to Tuya and said, you look very happy, Tuya. He replied, when I saw the king's joy with his son, I realized how much effort parents put into life to make their children happy. Therefore, before we think about marriage, we must always think about how we can be worthy of the responsibility that will come after marriage. I have decided from now on, after all the events we have been through, that I must continue to protect you, protect everyone I love, bear your responsibility myself, and always seek your happiness. Tuya was surprised to find that all the girls were standing there, listening to his conversation. They were happy with his words and greatly admired his character. At that moment, the robots, Francesca, Rose, and Monica, launched a massive amount of fireworks into the sky. Everyone gathered to watch them, extremely delighted. And with that, Season 1 and 2 of the anime In Another World with My Smartphone ends. If you liked the video, don't forget to support us with a like and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.